All right. Just a bit of a heads up. Okay. I got to sneeze. Hang on.
Oh,
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, careful. If my dogs start barking and going crazy, it's because there's a bear right there. And if all of a sudden I disappear, it's because we got a major thunderstorm rolling through, and stuff happens. So
understandable. Sure.
Just in case. If I disappear, the rest of you can carry on a conversation with Michael. All right. So even though I'm out in Timbuktu someplace, the rest of you don't have to be. But anyway, thank you for being with us for the Inventors Roundtable, June 22nd, 2026. And we are talking about scams, scoundrels, and other saboteurs. And our guest speaker tonight is Michael Miller. He has been in this arena for 20 years.
Oh, a little bit longer.
Okay. All right.
That's okay.
Well, I've been doing it for 20 years, and I met you. You were already well established in the area, but he would do the licensing for Danco for all the plumbing products in Home Depot and Lowe's in North America. In fact, I think they're still selling one of the products that we licensed through you, the Disposal Genie. And so he's dealt with, a lot of this different marketing stuff that a lot of you guys are trying to manage and decide, how to do it, what to do, and what to be careful of. A lot of the stuff I hear multiple complaints on is the social media area where they want to, do the marketing for you. And I think one of the ladies that is in Southern California, she was irritated because the company that she was talking to about helping her marketing, they wanted $9,000 to help her put together a marketing plan as opposed to going out and doing it. And she goes, why, am I, paying them to tell me what to do when I could go out and do better anyway? So, I know there's a lot of frustrations out there right now with, different things that are going on, but Michael Miller, introduce yourself, my dear. I have known you for such a long time, and it has been absolutely a pleasure, but tell everybody about yourself. And then, how do people have got a market. How do they avoid the crazy of the marketing scams?
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully all you guys can hear me just fine. So once again, my name is Michael Miller. My current position, actually, I act as a consultant. So I help out companies and inventors. So helping them with companies, I'm usually doing evaluations on their product lines to help them out as far as which products to bring to market first, second, third, looking at the whole product portfolio. And then for inventors, usually it's inventors that have multiple products. In many cases, it's people that I've worked with before, and helping them with very specific things that they need with those products. If it's, once again, just like with the companies, which one to go first, second, third, those type of things. Product evaluations, should they even move forward with the product? That's probably one of the ones I'm asked most often is that one. And so my background is I was in the military for 20 years. I was in the submarine service. During that time period, I invented a number of products that actually are still under license today. And they were invented for the military. So while I was an enlisted person in the military, came up with a number of things. Then went into the semiconductor industry, the medical device industry, where I had a number of inventions and all of those. And then for 15 years, I worked for Danco, Plumbing Products Group, as well as our pet products company, and also our chemical company. They were all part of a conglomerate, and I brought in products for all of those different divisions. Working with inventors, other companies to license products that we would then sell. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest condensed version of, what I've done, where I'm at. As far as the idea of, I would say, just about everything having to do with inventions and moving forward with them. And Rita and I have done over the years many, many presentations on this. In general, it needs to be you reaching out to a company to do specific work for you versus a company or a person reaching out to you directly to move forward with whatever it might be. If it's patenting, if it's licensing, if it's marketing, if it's doing things on, especially places like Amazon, which is an absolutely great area to get your products into. Um, in general, I would just say that I've seen most people be very, very successful with their product lines in the licensing of their products with companies that do it, they're doing it full time. They have employees that handle marketing. They have employees that handle packaging, um, that handle talking with the customers, manufacturing, all those different elements, product compliance, just all of those different areas. I find that it works much better, even for myself. I have not brought a single one of my products to market on my own. I have licensed everything that I've invented to other companies. That's and definitely that's something that I advise uh, literally everybody to do. Um, but I think really, if I think Rita, if any of the people that you have that have some specific questions regarding marketing and marketing their products, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, I'm sure that Deb might have some because she's got a pet product, and you're the pet master here tonight. I know that uh, Wendy probably have some. She's got inventory in. Deb's got inventory and been selling. I know Chris Gallagher has got a product, for kids, and well, anybody who wants to float in a pool of water, or the ocean. And he's got inventory in his marketing. Wendy manufactured in China. Her price points are a little high because she had to do a short order. Chris's price points were a little high because he was manufacturing in America, and we're now looking at getting him done at a lower price point. And then I know Tony is getting ready to file her non-provisional patent, and Lori has got a really cool product. It would be a perfect product for Home Depot in their rodent control area. And she's got her intellectual property all filed, her non-provisional filed, and she's looking now at manufacturing, some pretty good numbers and stuff. So, everybody here is looking, Dave is down there in Florida, and he's got been a kind of a DIY guy, and he's got a different products that he's put out there for folks. So as you guys have got questions, please ask Michael. He has got decades worth of experience that he can give you, and honestly, you'd rather hear it from him than me, even though he and I agree on almost everything, because we have been talking 20 years.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, the first product I licensed that you were representing was the disposal genie, and then certainly a number of other products after that, that we discussed, as well as joining you at a couple of shows to speak to your various inventors at the shows, to sort of help them out to make the right connections with their with different companies that they could license their products to.
Right.
Sure.
So the difference is that, he's working directly with the products and the big outlets. So a little bit different take on the marketing stuff. Certainly has seen, as we've all seen, how marketing has changed from, being magazine ads and newspaper ads locally predominantly, maybe some industry, bigger life in trade shows than there is now, because social media has kind of bumped that a little bit. But social media, where back 10 years ago was, kind of the new commercial type of thing, it has become very predatory. And so you've got to be really, really careful how you use it. So as you've got, questions for Michael, pipe in, because I know he doesn't want to do all the talking.
And actually, one of the things you sort of triggered in the brain cells here too is that whether you're a company or companies that I've worked for that then go and do presentations to, Petco, PetSmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, whoever it might be, on all of your presentations now, there will be a link going to a website, certainly YouTube, so that they can watch the videos, so that they can see the marketing presentation. I mean, basically every company does that now. And they just, whenever they're going through the pages, if they go and hit upon one of those pages and it doesn't have a YouTube um, thing on it, they're like, hey, where's your YouTube for this? I mean, it's just become such a norm now.
It really has. And, like for us, when we went back just recently and looked at a marketing campaign, we combined then, Inventor Lady, the Home Talk Radio, Invent America Radio. We've got 3 different YouTube channels now. And, we've got a lot of inventors who say, okay, what do I need to do to have you post me? Because we stream on 20 different platforms internationally. Well, we're on 40 radio stations every weekend and 3 different YouTube TV channels. Well, most people don't realize that when you talk about TV, YouTube is the biggest TV channel in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we still think NBC, ABC, and Amazon. Well, no, YouTube trumps them all.
So, Michael, I can introduce. First of all, I apologize to everybody for being a little bit late here. It was at the top of my priorities. I just ran out of time and what I had to get done. So I apologize for my looks and everything else. That's just a standard apology for me.
That's okay. You're good.
But, let me tell you a little bit about my product. I don't know, Mike, can I show you my product online at all, or do you want to?
Please do.
All right. How do I share a screen here real quick? I just
There's a button near the bottom. Well, of course, I don't know what kind of browser you're using, but there's a button near the bottom that.
Oh, it says I'm not allowed to share my screen, so I don't know why. But Connect a Noodle is my product, and it's real simple to explain. It's pool noodles that lock together, so you can build whatever you want, and then you can actually ride on it and float on it. So it's really a construction, kind of like a big soft Lego system that also floats, and it's very easy to use. You can we have 2 different versions. The first version we're out with, which is the full length 48-inch pool noodles that lock together, and we're going to camps and that sort of thing. We're also going to different hardware stores, and we're being well received there as well, but not in the big, not across a cross section. We're just people putting their toe in the water and seeing how we're going to do with sales. The next phase will be doing specific products, so like a little puppy dog with its house, or more practical, which is a high hurdle, low hurdle type setup that when you fall on it, you don't fall on extruded aluminum, which would be kind of nice as opposed to injuring your athletes with that. So there's a couple different ways we can go with it, but it's protected. And the only last thing I want to throw in there is whoever has that the thing for Home Depot for rodents or whatever, Vector, which is a big anti-rodent thing, is here in my hometown. If I can do something to find out who that right person is for you to talk to, I'd be more than happy. Just let me know. So that's all I've got.
Well, that's Lori, wave or unmute yourself and say hi. She's a TC Evergreen. And she keeps jumping around on our screen. Anyway, if you want if she wants the introduction, Chris, thank you very much, and I will make that introduction. She's having a little bit of trouble getting in, and so I don't know.
I've been there.
I think I just got it. I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you. Hi, how are you tonight?
So we'll reconnect there.
We can't hear you, Lori. Sorry, but I can make sure that you get
Somehow
Chris's
it worked.
information. I'll put you on my list. It'll happen Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm going to get my grandsons.
Perfect.
So remind me, Chris, Lori, remind me to connect you guys so that, because she's getting pricing on inventory now. Okay, I'm going to tell them what I know about your product. Okay. And so it's like a clean mousetrap. Okay.
Nice.
We've all used mousetraps. I live in the freaking forest, so if my dogs aren't catching it, I am. And so but now it's called Bag of Mouse, and she did beautiful artwork for this. But you've got the mousetrap in like a lunch bag, all right, and it peels back. So you put the mousetrap in, you set the trap, you put the bait on it, all right. But when the trap catches the mouse, you don't have to touch the trap, you don't have to touch the mouse. You pick up the bag and you throw it in the trash, and you're done. So, it makes a cleaner, nicer, easier way than seeing the dead mouse. And
Nice.
so anyway, that's what it is. And she's getting manufacturing. She's having, ITI is getting you some pricing, right? I think that's who I put her in touch with, was ITI, and out of Texas for pricing. But we've got a couple of others that we can check into if we need to. And that's who Chris is using for pricing, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think Mike's making that connection. Real quick, for what it's worth, because I had field mice come into the house, the Chinese springs were not strong enough, so the mice tended to carry around the trap with them. So make sure your springs, if there's a spring involved, that it's U.S. made and it's strong enough to snap the little suckers, because it's not fun drowning those things.
Oh, yeah, shoot. Okay.
There were some tough ones. They were field mice.
If they get in the house, there is no mercy. Mice, snakes, spiders. Once you cross the threshold, you're on your own, man. Every man for himself. And so stay outside, you're good to go, and whatever. But anyway, so Chris, anybody got questions for Michael?
Yeah, how would you market my product? What would be your approach? We're selling $14.99 for a 4-pack with 16 fasteners, which will allow you to make a raft, for a child, and they float around and do whatever they want. But then all the way up to a 52 pack for camps, and they get 208 fasteners, and they can. We on our website that I can't show you, we built an Eiffel Tower. I mean, you can build anything.
So I think with a product like this, a pool product, right? Of course, that opens up a whole lot of avenues and a whole lot of different areas and markets that you can sell into, which is key. The thing that you really need to be able to identify with a product like that one is, what is the value that a customer sees in your product over what they're already buying today? Which my guess would be probably a pool noodle would probably be the lowest priced option, and that would somewhat do what your product does. Although your product seems to be a more Mercedes-Benz version of a pool noodle, right? And so how do you really get that information across to your consumers how much better this is? And in this case, with the pool product, it's more about how much more fun they'll be able to have whenever they're utilizing the product. And with these types of products, it's really about fun. And how do you relay fun? One of the difficulties that I see with a lot of people, and quite frankly, including myself, I tend to always focus on the technical versus the fun. We usually know about the fun, but so much of the marketing materials, so much of the packaging, so much of everything is like, how do you put it together? How does it fit? What are the things you can do with it? And we kind of leave out fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's one of the things that, from a marketing perspective, and even whenever you go to talk to your potential, buyers or, companies that you're going to sell the product to, this has got to really be sold from the fun perspective. and the other stuff will fall in line with that, but you really got to understand what is fun about it.
So Deb's got a question, and then Wendy's got a couple questions.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so my product, Michael, is a pet levator that I'm wearing. You wear it like a backpack so you can carry your shoulder pet like a parrot. My shoulder cat is asleep right now, otherwise he'd be on here. He's up here for about 2 hours every morning. He eats his breakfast, lunch, and dinner on my shoulders. Some cats are natural born shoulder cats, but about a third of the cats can be trained to be shoulder cats. So I've got my own website and I'm starting to get active on social media. But what I hear you saying is, what's the fun thing about this? What other angles would you have for marketing this product?
Well, so for a product like this one, actually there was one, and I'm not sure if you ran into it whenever you were doing your research for this product for the patent side of things. But there was one that I saw with an inventor, oh gosh, probably 10, 12 years ago that was for birds. That was the similar type thing, and you might have had to work around that patent when you were developing this one.
It was, yes, that was one of the first patents that I saw, and it had just a little wooden thing here that the bird would perch on. It wasn't determined to be conflicting with this. I've got 2 utility patents and 1 design patent on this.
Oh, no, understand. Yeah, I didn't think, but just in case you didn't know about that one, because that product actually did not do well whenever it did go to market. And I think, and actually, I think it's along the same lines as what I was just talking to the other gentleman about, right? Except for yours, wearable devices, you have to, once again, the fun, right, is a big element of these types of products, but also it has to be about the comfort that you have as the parent whenever you go to do this. So you almost have to sell this the way somebody would a backpack. And I would really advise you to look at the backpack literature that all the different big major name backpack companies have for their backpacks, and make sure you include that type of language on your product. Because people, especially, pet parents for cats, they're very much tied to their cats. They very much love their cats. They like that type of thing, and they like things that can bring their cats closer to them. And so this is a great option for that. But at the same time, they're going to have to be concerned about, okay, what are the possible negatives of me wearing this? Am I going to get sore? Is it going to be too heavy for me? You need to address that in your product literature, basically the same way they do with camping backpacks. Because that's what they have to overcome on their literature. So for them, it's really about selling the adventure, which for you'd be selling the adventure and the closeness, right? But tie it into the comfort. Does that make sense? So, so that's really from a marketing perspective, those are the things that I would focus on. And it always helps if you can look at like products. So ones that are already successful out there, that are already doing a good job and spending millions of dollars on marketing materials. Oh my gosh, that's free information for you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all the good input. Yes, I totally get that. So thank you very much.
I mean, even somebody that worked at a company that brought all kinds of products to market. That's what we would always do. We'd look at our competitors. What are our competitors saying? What are the things that they're touting about their products, and how can we then incorporate that? We know what's working, and so how can we keep that going? And so,
I'm glad you brought that up. The closest competitor that I have is called Travel Cat, where
yeah,
they have, instead of a bolster like this, it's a backpack where you put the cat in the backpack and you take the cat out of the house. Whereas this was intended for the cat to be sitting on top of the bolster, unconstrained, jump up, jump down anytime. And it's intended for use inside the house, although some of my customers have taken their cat outside the house with it.
Yeah, I mean it's the same as the one for the people that have the birds as well, right? I mean, you have people that have birds that, ride with them, or even dogs that ride with them on motorcycles. I mean, I would never do that, but
Yeah.
people of course do that because that's the fun, the adventure part of it that you can then sell them on.
Got it. Okay. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Sure.
Wendy, go ahead. Unmute yourself, or you're unmuted. Okay, good job.
All right. Hi, Michael.
Hey there.
Tell everybody what you got. Tell them about Float No More.
I have a product called Float No More. Here's my outside box. This is actually a picture of the product. What this is it's a hot tub accessory that I've had back trouble, and I've been in a hot tub for 25 years, but every time I'm in a hot tub, I float away. Certain chairs, I can't quite stay seated. I'm always like buffeting. Rita knows the story. You kind of just float away from your chair. And so I'm either got my hands on the hot tub, or I put my foot against another seat or something like that. So I developed something called Float No More. And inside of it are these, you can see that's actually my model, my daughter. Two of those, they're pretty marbleized weight bags that go into this product right here that has a Velcro attachment, and it dries really quickly, and it has a belt that's adjustable that snaps, kind of like a fanny pack, the back of a fanny pack, but the belt will come totally off, so you could just put it on your waist. So I've got a patent that's, what do you call it, issued?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling to get into stores, probably because I'm just not very good at marketing. But I have gone through and gotten product. I have product. I've got a patent. I've got the UPC code. I've got it already. I just need it to either be licensed or put in stores. I've even started down the Amazon path, which I don't know. I keep going like 2 feet forward, and then I'll go one back, and then I'll go 2 feet forward, and then I'll go one back. And I'm thinking, is this really going to work on Amazon or not? But organically, I have a website, and I have a guy making some pretty decent ads on Instagram and TikTok. But of course, I'm paying more in marketing than I am receiving in sales from any given source. So
Sure. Of course.
how do you ever get that to even equal out? I don't even know what to do. How to market this thing.
Well, as Rita will tell you, sell more. That's about the way you dig out. But I think, can I see the front of your box versus
Sure.
the back?
Yeah. Let me get it up here.
Nope, that's good.
There.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, that was the front. Okay. So with a product like this one, and so once again, just like whenever I was talking with the previous couple of people here, right? It's about the focus of how you're focused on your product. Okay. And with so many inventors, and I have to say, even myself, whenever I first start off with a product, I'm always thinking about the solution. I have come up with a solution, right? You have come up with a solution. The problem is, you almost have to back up and think about, why did I have to come up with the solution? And so it's almost like the pink elephant in the room for so many products is, why did I even need a solution? And think about that. So one of the first things that popped in my mind about this was, here you have a person just a few minutes ago that was talking about a device to float in a pool, and here you are coming up with a device to not float in the pool. You have to do the exact opposite of what that person's trying to do, right?
Yes.
And which is great. Quite honestly, that's some really good brainstorming, because why don't you, with you or your customer, why do they not want to float in the hot tub? Well, right off the bat, I can think about it that, well, number one, because my butt needs to be down in the water so that this thing could even work, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing is, what are the methods that I would use if I didn't have this? So, you as a person in a hot tub, that means you have to physically hold yourself down. You need to, I know what some people have done is they've actually taken those kind of like plunger devices, grab bars that you can actually put
Mhm.
down into a bottom of a hot tub and then hold themselves down. I've seen those sold for hot tubs to do that type of thing. Well, of course, the disadvantage of that is that you're in the hot tub probably because you have some sort of physical problems. You probably don't need to be holding yourself down for 30 minutes trying to hold yourself down into the water of the hot tub.
Right.
The other thing you're going to do is try to brace your legs, right? So you're going to brace your legs, brace your arms.
What's the
Every single
point?
one of those things are going to make you feel worse.
Right.
It does nothing for you. So in this particular case, with this particular type of product, what you have to focus on in a way is the pink elephant. What's the negatives about the way that people are already doing it and how this solves for that? So no, you and I didn't see anything in your verbiage, just in the quick little look that I did of your packaging, about why you need this, and what are the things that you don't have to do anymore. You don't have to brace your legs and give yourself leg cramps. You don't have to brace your arms and struggle with that. You don't get the full therapy because you're not all the way into the water, right? That's what this is solving. And you don't have anything on your marketing materials about what the problem is that you're solving.
Okay.
And so, in my mind, the thing that I'm kind of thinking of is more pictures, but more pictures of those negatives, which is somebody trying to brace themselves in the hot tub and have the little
Oh,
symbol for having a
yes.
leg cramp, and somebody holding, on to the side trying to push themselves under, and you
Hanging on to
know
a plunger. Yeah.
and actually, you could even have a funny one. I don't know if you want to do this or not, but have somebody holding a concrete block on their lap, right? I mean, there's some funny things that you could maybe
Right.
even do on your web thing or whatever, that I think would really help you in getting the message across of, why does this work? Right. And by the way, I love the idea. I think it's something that's needed. Um, I worked in healthcare for a number of years with medical devices and bandages and all those type of things. So, anything that can help people with their therapies is a good thing. And so I think if you focus on it with that of, how does this help that therapy to really help that person out? And it's easy to use. It's not going to cause you any issues like the issues that would be caused if you don't have this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in your case, you almost have to point out the negatives. Whereas you have the person with the pole floating thing, he has to point out more positives, right? You almost have to point out the negatives to show how positive this is.
What's your take on Amazon though for this type of product?
So I think Amazon would be a great avenue for this type of product.
No
Um,
competition
it's
yet.
it's a difficult one for um, um, for your retailers, because it's a hard stock item. But I'm imagining. So, is this item already pre-weighted, or are you adding water to it?
No, it's already pre-weighted. I mean, it comes, I mean, I've been making, I can ship it for $7.50 UPS. So it is quite heavy because it has 2 weight bags in it. So
Right.
that's the whole point. It's ready to go. Strap it on. You won't float. You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
but so the shipping is, I haven't had any problem with shipping. In
Yeah.
fact, people buy 2 of them at a time now,
Yep.
usually. So
There's
go ahead.
there's an idea playing off of what Michael just said, and there is somebody I know that does little short snippet videos. So you could have the one of your daughter sitting in the pool, a real video of someone sitting in the pool. But then the fun one would be somebody, floating with, sinking with a brick. It's like, no more bricks, no more plungers, no more hanging on, whatever.
I didn't think about that.
5 or 6, different ones of the negative, and then post them. And each one of them that would start with that would be funny. And then it would end with the beautiful woman sitting there, with the float no more and saying, and this is therapy, maybe even with a glass of wine, and this is therapy. And so, the funny person floating around, you could do, call me. We could do all kinds of funny things.
Yeah, and I mean, working with plumbing products for so long, one of the first things that came to mind was a, toilet plunger that you put down in the bottom of the hot tub that you're trying to use to hold yourself down
Hold
in the
yourself
water.
down.
I mean, just there's that type of thing that, and the reality is people do that, and so this is a much better solution.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
we've learned, we've got somebody that does some of those little snippet videos, and then can put it together with your, the gorgeous one and then the funny one. And then you snip it together so that you would end up having 5 or 6 different versions that you would be able to put out on the internet and post then on the Instagram and, wherever you wanted to post and stuff. So yeah, that would be good. And good job, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, Deb, you want to ask a question
A
again?
couple of questions. What you just said, Rita, snippet videos. So if I had questions about how to put together a snippet video, who would I go to? Is that Raymond?
You can go to Raymond, or you can go to my daughter, Kat. She's been learning how to do that. So she's doing that now for a lot of different products that we're taking out there, where she can, do the little short videos. It's got the positive and the negative.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. And then a question for the Float No More lady. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Her name is Wendy Short.
Wendy. You were talking about shipping $7.50. I assume that's domestic. Are you doing international shipping, which I'm having a difficulty with?
No, I'm just in US right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, my website, they used to do international shipping, and now it's like I can't even get a shipping label international. Of course, I'm getting all international orders right now, so I have to anyway.
I'm gonna write me an email. I can't tomorrow because I'm gonna be in the car all day long, but send me an email and ask for Kat's contact information, because the other company she does work for, they ship internationally.
Okay.
And so she ships internationally all the time, and she'll be able to give you at least some answers, or where to go to ask the right questions.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I had.
David, any questions? You're muted, David.
Sorry, yes. I muted just in case I coughed or something. I didn't want to disturb anybody. No, I have no questions.
All right. Tony, any questions?
Probably the question that I have for Michael is, you're obviously so successful in the licensing realm of things. My first part of my question is, what encouraged you to do that first and foremost, instead of bringing it together on your own in the beginning, and subsequently staying in the licensing arena with all these other products, as opposed to trying to bring something to market on your own?
Sure. And That's actually a really, really good question, and it's one I try to address whenever I've given presentations over the years. Um, what I have found is that, at least for me, I have a lot of ideas, and most inventors do. And uh, with that, even ones that I thought were just absolutely fantastic that didn't go anywhere, and then the ones that I thought were sort of mediocre wound up doing absolutely crazy. Um, so because of that, it's really, for me, it's about the averages, right? If I can get in and out on one, and if I can help other people to get out from under that particular product and move on to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, the averages are going to be one of them are going to hit, and maybe even multiples of them will hit. But it allows you then to move on. It also saves you all of that time of trying to become an expert in each and every category area of bringing a product to market. And because there's all these things that you just don't know. There's packaging requirements in California. There's packaging requirements throughout the US now. What's the percentage of recycled material that has to be in your packaging, that it has to be made out of? There's very specific guidance on the labeling requirements for every single product. I don't care what it is. There's labeling requirements for everything. Even a plastic bottle of water has labeling requirements. I mean, to be an expert on all of that, um, is just astronomical. And then whenever you get into manufacturing and all the manufacturing specs, and then the materials that the products are made out of, and all the requirements for that now, um, there's regulatory on every single piece and product that's out there right now. Um, I quite frankly, even myself that does this all the time, I am not an expert on every single one of those categories. And if you get your product into a major retailer, even Amazon, Amazon just got through pulling thousands of products because regulatory wise, they were not correct. And they had to pull all of those. Um, and you run into the same thing. You get these lawyers that go into Lowe's and Home Depot and are looking specifically at the regulatory requirements of packaging and labeling and all of that. And one big shipment to Lowe's and Home Depot that gets pulled, not only does your product not go back on the shelf again, you're pretty much done, and you just lost all that inventory and all that revenue for selling that product in. And once your product leaves a big retailer like that, it'll never go back on again. The buyer is not going to risk it. So that is why I have really, um, found and am very comfortable in helping people to get their products out there, get them licensed, let all that work be done by that company that you have licensed to, with the appropriate amount of your eyes on things as you're doing that, and then move to the next thing.
I think
And
a lot of inventors don't realize that, you've got that wow moment. All right, you've come up with a great idea, but being able to do all the lifting yourself is just crazy. And every inventor will hit a ceiling. You'll hit a point where you can't access anymore. You just don't have the bandwidth or the money, the leverage to be able to get into a particular chain, whatever it is. And, at that point, you either lose it all or someone infringes on your patent. The gentleman that did Bunch of Balloons, Josh Malone, and he had licensed it to a toy company and he was infringed on. All right. The toy company fought it. It cost him $20 million and 5 years, and they won 50 million. But he'd be the first to tell you, if he hadn't licensed it, he would never have been able to win because he didn't have the money to fight the battle. So, it's like, all right, everything's chugging along, and all of a sudden then you get infringed on. And the licensee is the one that fights the big battle. They protect the intellectual property.
So one more follow-up question, and then I'll, kind of let everyone else speak. So you mentioned, and I know that there are certain percentages, royalty percentages when you license a product. And I would imagine that you would have to do many products, I guess, depending upon the level of complexity, of course, would be your percentage. But how many products would you say that you have to come up with for potential, licensees, like in a year to be successful, to be really successful?
So, I mean, I think it varies for everybody, right? As you know, how much revenue you need to bring in off of this licensed product. I mean, there's so I'll give you a one of the products that I came up with, right? I'll use that example. So one of the products I came up with, very, very simple product. Um, Basically, I looked at soap dispensers, and the soap dispensers that you buy in the store that go by your kitchen sink, go by your bathroom sink, but typically they're in the kitchen, and it has that little screw off bottle that's on the bottom that nobody screws off to fill it. Everybody pulls the top out, pours the soap in, and the soap goes all over the place because you're buying the gallon jugs of soap, and the soap just spills everywhere whenever you try to fill them, and it bloops because of the, you're trying to pour thick soap into a little tiny spout. So originally what I came up with is, well, why don't we go and sell a funnel so that it can make it a lot easier for people filling these soap dispensers? That was kind of like my first idea. And then I started taking soap dispensers apart and trying to brainstorm and thinking about, okay, what would be a better way to do this? And the very next thing I saw was, wait a second, how are we getting the soap up to the dispenser here, to the pump? It's that little section of hose that goes into the bottle. Well, what if I just extended that hose all the way down to the bottom of the cabinet and just make it where the hose can go into the gallon jug of soap? You don't have to have that little bottle there anymore. You just run a hose straight down to a gallon jug of soap, and they're already buying the gallon jug anyway, and they're keeping it under the sink anyway to refill this darn little tiny little thing. So, I mean, that product alone was selling 2 million units a year in Home Depot.
Yeah.
Um,
I think a lot, it depends a lot too on what it is. All right.
It does. It depends. And so, and then whenever you're working with a company, whenever you're licensing a product, one of the things you're going to work with them on is, what is the amount of units that are already selling out in the marketplace that are like items to what you have, and what would be the possibility, if they're even talking to you, they're thinking that they can sell a lot of units. And so what would be the cost to manufacture? What would be the cost to bring it in? And then what would be a good reasonable amount of royalty for you to make off of each item sold?
Yeah. I think the important thing too is, everybody has to deal with the same math. All right. You got a multiple of 5. And I know that, Michael is very familiar with the general multiple of 5. So easy math. You've got a $10 retail product. All right. That means in the multiple of 5, you have to drop it's got to be landed cost. Okay. Product packaged, insured to get here for 2. All right. The store is going to sell it for 10. They bought it for 5. Okay. They bought it from a distributor, for $2.50. Okay. And so the distributor, when they're buying it from you, that means you've made, it cost you $2. You made 50 cents per unit. And that multiple of 5, everybody deals with. We had, when we go to a trade show and somebody comes in, they're looking at probably what is your cost? Because they're already calculating in their head the multiple of 5. It's not etched on Mount Rushmore, but it pretty much could be. So when you look at then, you're dealing with that. Everybody deals with that multiple of 5. Now, if you've got a big big distributor, they're not dealing, they're not dealing with that one level. They're selling directly wholesale to the store. All right. So, they might not have to deal with that 250 selling, but for the most part, everybody's dealing with a multiple of 5. Well, when you look at the product, then I've had inventors that say, it's like, well, it's generally a $10 product, but I'm going to sell mine for 20. No, you're not. Consumer is God when it comes to pricing, right, Michael? The consumer's not going to pay for it. It doesn't matter how wonderful you tell them it is. It is all about the pricing. And I know for some folks, when they go out with that first round, they can't look at what their first round cost them. They've got to look at what they're shooting for. So it's not about 1,000 units. It's if I was making 10,000, what would my price point be? And there are some products that don't get to market right out the door because they can't hit the price point because technology is not there. And then, we had one, and I know that Chris knows about this product, a gentleman who had a product called the nose tea. All right. Well, you get a nosebleed. All right. Everybody shoves cotton up their nose. They shove Kleenex up their nose. They're trying to stop the blood from flowing out of their nose. That's not where the blood's coming from. The blood flow in a nosebleed is controlled by an artery in your upper lip. Well, this guy figured it out. So now he's got a little gadget that fits right up under your top lip, and you bite down on it and the bleeding stops in 5 seconds. Okay. Well, everybody wants this. He hit a threshold where he hadn't done in 5 years what the licensee has been able to do in 5 months. Selling to the military, selling to the police forces, selling to all the schools, and selling overseas and on billboards for the National Boxing Association. And that's, when you've got somebody that's got leverage, still got to deal with a multiple of 5, still got to hit those price points. But now, it's looking a little bit different for this guy. So still got to look at that, that price point, but now he gets to go to the bank and make a deposit. And he didn't have the bandwidth to do it all himself. He could do the manufacturing, but he didn't have the leverage to do the selling. He didn't have any of the contacts. Well, for some folks, the only time you get to go to the bank and make a deposit is when you're depositing your royalty check. And, they say, well, what are they doing? I'm only getting 5% and they're getting 95%. They're doing all the marketing, all the insurance, all the manufacturing, all the packaging. And so somebody's got to pay for it. And they're still giving you 5%. Yay, hallelujah. Somebody gets to go to the bank. But, that's kind of the way it works out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And I know, the lady that had the disposal genie that licensed it to the Home Depot and Lowe's through Michael. All right. It's still selling. It's like 5 or 6 different versions of it, selling it on Amazon. So cool product. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your insight.
So it's been an interesting ride, hasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, it really has.
So anybody else have any questions?
For what it's worth, Michael, I'm working with another Michael Rita's friend. And if you know somebody that might be interested in partnering or learning more about it, just to explore the opportunity, I'd be more than happy to talk with them. So, and that's Connect-A-Noodle. So if you want to do connectanoodle.com, you'll see it online.
So, and that's, one of the things that I've learned over the years is, the connections that we get. So I know somebody that, needs to be able to talk to Michael. I introduce him to this Michael. I know somebody that needs to talk to the other Michael. I introduce him to the other Michael, and it's amazing. I try not to drop the mic. And, I don't know everybody. All right. But as a licensing agent, I know Michael, I know other licensing companies, and making different connections. I introduced, Chris Gallagher and Deb to the, Mike Ryan and, showed him, but now I've introduced Wendy to Kevin Cody, who sells to all these and has got, made in America products in Walmart. But it's a lot of times just who you take the time to talk to that can point you into the right direction of another person.
That's true. And thank you for that.
So my pleasure.
Thank you.
Still working to, see what I can do for everybody out there who's got cool new products. So. All right.
Sounds good.
You're welcome, Lori. You're welcome. I can see your finger signals there. You go, girl. All right. Anybody have any other questions? And I think one of the big takeaways from tonight is that, marketing's hard. All right. It costs money. frequently I'll see inventors, it's like they spend more on marketing than they do on everything else. You know, it's like, oh my God, I can't afford to pay for a patent. It's like, that was nothing compared to the manufacturing, which was nothing compared to the actual trying to market it, because we don't know. And there's a lot of scoundrels out there who are certainly willing to take the money without giving you anything in return for the money. And so a lot of times just knuckle down. You know, you can't do all of the social media platforms. It'll break you. Just time wise, you can't do it. So pick one or two and focus on that. All right. Pick one or two and focus. You know, get the little snippets. You can get, you know, the little video snippets and use it for advertising. You know, Deb, you could get, you know, a couple that have got the, you know, the cat and the talking, and, you know, put a lizard on there, or, you know, your pet snake, whatever, and show it having some fun. A monkey, you know, you could do a lot of different little animals. Go to the zoo and get some pictures taken.
Yeah. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. So, Rita, after this meeting, I did have some other specific questions for you.
Call me tomorrow.
Call you tomorrow.
Morning. Okay. I will be driving to Atlanta to get grandsons.
Oh, okay.
You will have my undivided attention. Okay.
All right.
Anybody's got any questions, call me tomorrow morning. I've got 4 hours from 8 to noon.
8 to noon Eastern time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
8 to noon Eastern time. I pick the boys up in Atlanta at noon and I drive them back here for dinner.
Okay.
Have fun.
I get these boys. I've had these. The oldest one is 15. I have had him every single summer for a week for 15 years.
Nice.
It's awesome. It's great.
And all kinds of first adventures, first helicopter ride, first zip lining, first, you know, bungee jumping, first time floating down the river out here that I almost drowned in 2 years ago. That was fun. And so, yeah, we always try to do something that's a first. So we are going this year to the largest underground lake in America. And it's an hour away from where I live. And they have got glass bottom boats. It's the second largest underground lake in the world. And
What's
it is right
What's
here.
the name of it?
I don't know. If when I find out, I'll let you know. But it's the largest. If you look, largest underground lake in America, this one will come up. It's in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
To know.
So that's going to be our first this time. It's hard to beat it. They just got back from South Africa going on vacation with their parents. So, you know, tough life. But anyway, guys, it has been a pleasure. If nobody else has any questions, Tony, I need to give me a call tomorrow or when you can. I've got to chat with you a little bit. Deb, Chris, Wendy, Lori, all y'all, give me a call.
Drive careful.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. Good to see all of you. Mike, thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you join us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Michael, for your insight. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
No problem, guys. You have a great one and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care now, guys. Talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.